everybody, and welcome to a stellar Wild Ride with Steve-O. We've got Bill Burr. This guy is an icon. He is a legend. He's a hero to me, and he's always been so nice and supportive of me that I was really looking forward to the day that I would get up the courage to ask him to come on the Wild Ride podcast. And when I did, he said absolutely, and man, did we have a blast. Dude, we laughed so hard on this one, and it really is a lot of fun. Kind of like being at home and taking a dump at my house. I love it, man. It's the one thing I can't stand about being on tour is that I don't have my Hello Tushy bidet. HelloTushy.com is absolutely my favorite sponsor of the Wild Ride podcast, and boy do they love the listeners of it, because if you go to HelloTushy.com/Steve-O, not only will you get 10% off your order, it's the Tushy Ace. This is a whole toilet seat that goes on your toilet. The seat warms up. It's got a remote control. When you get done pooping, you push the button and you've got a refreshing jet stream of water just pressure cleaning your butthole. And you can set the water temperature to exactly the way you like it. It's the most luxurious experience. It makes being at home so fulfilling for me. And again, if you go to HelloTushy.com/Steve-O, you get 10% off. Plus, this is my favorite product I have ever promoted on this podcast. So jump on this deal and let's get into it.
Hello, sir.
Is anything scarier than knocking on a van door? You're not sure?
Yeah, dude.
What's going on? This is cool.
What's up, dude?
It was so difficult for me to jump on the podcast bandwagon and become the guy asking the question, will you do my podcast? That the only way I could wrap my head around it was to...
Oh, you're a sweetie.
Yeah, she is.
Hot Shepherd?
Belgian Malinois.
Street dog.
I found her in the streets of Peru.
So who would let this sweetie go?
Never even got her in the first place.
Were there other dogs that looked like her in Peru?
There were rather a few, yeah. Yeah, so like...
I thought I was podcasting, so forgive me.
Oh, dude, not to worry. I thought about giving you a, hey, man, are we still on? But I figured I just would.
At some point, I'm going to get an assistant.
I just got my first.
You know what my assistant is? Is people reminding me I'm supposed to be somewhere. I'm like, oh, thank you, Steve-O, for being my assistant today. All right.
Yeah, checking in.
I'm editing a movie right now, right in there.
Nice,
So
dude.
I'll be promoting that shamelessly
Oh, I love it.
throughout this.
I love it. Ladies and gentlemen, Bill Burr.
What's going on?
Dude?
This is already my favorite podcast. To sit here petting a dog while doing a podcast is the most soothing afternoon ever.
Yeah. Man, well, it's an honor to have you, man. I was...
An honor, dude. You're a legend. I'm happy to be here. You've been making me laugh for fucking 20 years.
Well,
Nice.
dude, I appreciate that so much, man.
I think the last time we all saw each other was in New York City. You stopped by the show.
Oh, Caroline's. Yeah, we're
Yeah.
psyched,
Yeah.
man. I said it's
Uh-huh.
Steve, fucking headlining Caroline's. That's a huge one. Caroline's on Broadway.
It was really cool that you came over, and I've seen you since then when comedy started to start back up, and then we had the outdoor
I was
shows.
gonna say, what parking lot did I run into?
Right.
It's like, didn't you do a stunt out here years ago?
They set up in an alley off
Magic
Hollywood
Castle?
Boulevard. Not the Magic Castle.
That was a good gig.
Yeah, I heard about that one.
Yeah.
Wasn't that one a drive-in?
Well, when they first had it, they the first time I did it, I hadn't done stand-up in like, oh man, well, March was when the shit hit, right? Lockdown, and then we did I think I did that in like June or July. So I always wondered how people stop doing stand-up. It's like, how do you stop? It's so fun. How, like, do you know when it's your last one, right? So when this pandemic hit, remember in the beginning, everyone was like, oh, this is just going to be like, about 14, 21 days. Everybody stays inside
Yeah.
because that's
Yeah, a
what
little
everybody's going to
vacation.
do.
To the curve.
Because everybody's going to play ball and just listen to the people. No,
Yeah.
everybody did whatever the fuck they want to do, which is also what makes this country great. So then all of a sudden I took a month off. I'm thinking, well, I've been doing this shit almost 30 years. This is good to take
Yeah.
some time off. And somewhere in May, I just stopped even thinking about stand-up. Just stopped thinking about it. Because I usually, like, I see something, I'd be like, oh, I'm going to talk about that. That's basically how I come up with bits. I see something, I don't write it down. I just kind of go up and just riff on the bullshit, and hopefully it turns into something. And somewhere around May, like, I stopped doing that. And I was watching, like, cooking videos and shit, like learning souffles or whatever on the internet. And I had this big fucking panic attack, like going like, oh my God, like I kind of like through this virus have sort of quit doing comedy. So anyway, when the first one I did coming back was that one at the Magic Castle. And it was outdoors, which is always, you know,
Weird.
you always, if you're doing a show outside, you just automatically feel like you're bombing because
Yeah.
like all the light, all the laughs just go up into the clouds and it doesn't come at you. Or if there's like a roof, you can feel like, okay, they still like me.
Yeah.
Let's see if they like me after this one, right?
For sure.
So that was all gone, and they were like in cars. And
beeping.
no, they had those, you know, those stupid things you go like this,
Yeah.
and it's two hands clapping.
Oh.
So it's like these plastic things. So you tell a joke out into this dark parking lot, and there would just be like this brutal pause that felt like a kick to the chest, and then you just hear a couple.
Yeah.
But couldn't they just clap at that point if they're holding a clapper? Like, what's the
You know,
difference?
Were they holding
You
him
know,
outside
yeah,
the windows
Most
doing
people,
it?
if they're just told to do something, they do it.
I guess
you know?
so, yeah, it's
that
like, well,
nobody
okay.
doesn't. People don't start to think, and then you have the other people who think too much, and then they start thinking the world's flat. But there is a sweet spot where
Yeah.
you're in a show
Right.
could be like, or I could just do this,
Right.
and then they were like, they would flick their lights, they beeped, but what I got out of it. It was funny. It was a one-show adjustment. By the second show, like those little tick, 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 tick things, I got in the mindset like, oh, this is what killing sounds like. All right, and or having a good set sounds like. But what I got out of it was like the I was saying when I was on there, I go, when this fucking pandemic is over, and somebody says to you, hey man, I am the biggest fan of stand-up comedy. You have to say, oh yeah, did you sit in your Ford Focus in a
Yeah.
fucking parking lot with plastic hands
Those are the
because you
diehards.
missed hearing jokes? I was like, you guys, yeah, you're like the people that went through like the Depression or the Dust Bowl of like comedy. You can say, I was there, man.
That's
I
funny.
fucking showed up. Where were you?
Yeah.
Weren't you relieved when the were you touring when the pandemic happened and then you didn't have to get on a plane? You're like, thank God.
I'll tell you the one thing I did not miss was LAX.
For sure.
Yeah.
I every time I go into LAX, all it is you just want to get to your seat on the plane and know that your bag fit.
Yeah.
And then it's just like, okay, now I have the amazing technology of travel where I'm going to go across the country and what used to take people, you know, months and they die and shit. I'm going to
Yeah.
do this in 6 hours. I'm going to fucking complain. Louis C.K. had a great bit about that. And I never forgot that because I was one of those people bitching on the plane. I saw Louis one time on Conan just going, dude, you're in the fucking sky. Oh, the internet doesn't work. It's like, you're
Yeah.
Yeah.
flying
What
over
you're
Like,
doing
really?
is
Did you
amazing.
fly?
I'm
yeah,
so guilty.
you used to have to like hike through the fucking mountains, and we're just flying over them. You just in there, Jesus Christ,
wearing suits
we're only
and
in
like
Denver.
Yeah.
You know, I was totally one of those guys. It was one of the, like my favorite bits that I love, and Louis does this a lot in guys of his caliber, where they sort of expose you for the shithead you are, and it's those jokes are the best when you're by yourself because you can't play it off. You just got to sit there like, yeah, he's right.
Dude, I'm 100% guilty of complaining. I complained about airports and airplanes so much. Like, I
Yeah.
can't. But after the pandemic, when we came back and we had to wear the fucking masks and just like after that break, it was so much harder to get through an airport and a flight.
And
I-
they were like delayed more because there was
Yeah.
no people flying.
Right.
I was a
and-
big mask guy, dude. I loved them.
I'm down for them.
I loved the mask. I fucking loved the mask.
You like
I
wearing
don't-
it? Or you like other people wearing it? Like,
I mean,
Everybody just
I've
keeps to
given up
themselves.
on all of that or whatever, because I don't even know if they even fucking worked at this point. You
Sure.
know what I mean? But I was gonna listen to some shithead who has no medical degree tell me they don't fucking work. Oh, is that what your fucking degree, your lack of a degree tells you? It's just like, so I'm gonna go with the liars I know rather than people that, know that they're being lied to, but then it's like, well, then now what do I do? Now I'm going to step off into the wild and just assume because someone got kicked out of the medical field that they were one of the good guys that get. Not everybody who gets kicked out of the medical field gets kicked out because they're a good person and that they're telling the truth. There is that.
Yeah.
And there's definitely, pharmaceutical companies, synthetic heroin, all kinds of crazy shit that they don't get called on, killing a bunch of people. So I understood where like that was coming from, but like, I was in my emotions like everybody else, and you just wanted it to be over, and it was just like, just do what they say, so at least we're all on the same page, so they can get some sort of analytics to try to get us out of it. So I was into that for a while, and then after a while, I was just like, I'm just gonna sound like the old man, pick up your trash. I was just like, all right, I'm gonna do what I think everybody at some point came to, I'm gonna do what feels right, and then like that. But I gotta be honest, I miss the mask. I miss it, dude. Dude, you get out of so many fucking conversations. Like, conversations become quicker. It's like, what? It just becomes really efficient, and then you just get the fuck out of there, and then it's like, there's no record of you really being there. You're always just walking around like you're robbing a bank. It was kind of fucking awesome.
I was in an airport yesterday, and I had two thoughts as I walked in. Oh, I don't have to wear a mask. But then my next thought was, oh, but I'm about to walk into, like, the hell of taking pictures every fucking 5 seconds. And I was like, man, I had a panic that I didn't have my mask in my pocket. It's like,
wow.
Man, I just want to cover my face.
Yeah, it's like a comfort
I fortunately
thing.
don't really have to deal with that, which is good. No, this guy's like a fucking movie star, man. Like, I have my niche. I got my shit jokes and the people that like it, and I'll just run into somebody like, hey, you're that guy, right? It's like, yeah, I like being at that level.
I think with you though, people might be timid to come up because you might just roast the shit out of them if they come wrong or something like that.
Yeah, well, I think that I'm.
No, I just tease people if they're being.
Yeah.
Like, I went to this thing the other day, right? It was this thing that was disguised as a brunch, and it just turned out to be this big marketing meeting. It was fucking hilarious. So I'm sitting there and I'm eating this lamb chop, and this guy comes up to me and starts talking to me. And I just looked at him. I was like, you had 3 hours and 55 minutes to not talk to me when I was eating a lamb chop. I'm going to be here for 4 hours. Can I just eat this thing? Are you going to keep asking me right after I took a bite? He was another comedian. He laughed, and he was a friend of mine and everything like that. But then, of course, he rolled with it. He's like, no, man, I'm going to talk to you through this whole fucking lamb chop. Then it became fun, and it didn't bother me because it became a bit. But if somebody's just doing it, then it's annoying. So I found with people like that, I mean, that, it's cool that they want to talk to you and that type of stuff. So, like, you always have to be like, okay, somebody could not be doing this, but the payoff then is I'm selling no tickets, and I'm back to that, sitting in that fucking one-bedroom apartment with my IKEA furniture.
Yeah.
And all kinds of rug available for yoga because I don't have any money. So I would rather have this existence. But the happy medium of that, selling tickets and living a great life, is wearing a mask. That's why I wish I was Asian, because I could get away with it. Because they've been wearing them for, like, the Asians are the shit, man. They've been wearing them since fucking SARS. They used to wear them on the plane when they had a cold. Just because they had a cold, and the level of consideration, I don't want to give it to the rest of the plane.
Nobody does that.
Is amazing. But if you've ever been over to Asia, which is incredible, there's so many people there that you understand that okay, this is how we're living, so we have that. And I think, with every area of the world, you can learn something. I'm kind of like, it would be cool. Because I remember before the pandemic, when you'd get on a plane, you'd sit next to some guy, and he's just, and it'd be like, it'd be great if this guy was wearing, you're just saying like, oh, so this is what my life's going to look like in 3 days.
This is me.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. I love that I've been able to graduate to the tour bus and the theaters.
Oh yeah, exactly. Dude, you already don't have a real job, and then you get to travel around like fucking Barry Manilow. It's fucking amazing. Fucking dragging a piano behind you.
I say this a lot, that I really believe anybody who claims that they're on the comedy club circuit because they love comedy is either lying or more mentally ill than I am.
No, I took mushrooms and I finally figured out after 50-something years why I actually do comedy. Like, I thought I did it because I loved comedy. And I realized, no, that's not why I do it. It was the easiest way to go into a room full of people, make them like you, and then they won't beat the shit out of you. that was the subconscious. I need to make people like me so this bullshit stops.
Yeah. Do you travel with a tour bus?
No, I mean, I have the only way to make a tour bus work, I find, is because you got to do like a run of dates.
Yeah.
So you got to pay for the bus, and then you do that stupid rock star thing because the driver's like, "Hey, you want to take off right after the gig?" You're like, "Yeah, fuck it, let's get some of the driving out of the way," and you don't realize that you're paying overtime.
Yeah.
It was like one time when my wife was pregnant, we were getting work done in the house because we had to make a baby room, so we rented this house. And we fucking heated the pool for the whole fucking month like idiots, not realizing how much it cost. It cost me twice as much what it cost to rent the fucking house. So the tour bus can be like that, where you're like, oh yeah, I paid for it. It costs this much. You don't realize there's overages. So I go out and if I can drive to another gig, because I still love driving. I go out with Club Soda Kenny, and we get like SUV, and just cruise. And then I like hitting spots, mom and pop spots to eat and shit like that, and having something to look forward to while I'm out there, so the guilt of not being there with my kids. But FaceTime helps that. So I never go out more than like 3-4 days. But if I was single or if I didn't have kids, then I would get a cluster of cities done via tour bus. The great thing about the tour bus is like, it's a great way to stay out of trouble. You can get in a lot of trouble, but if you use it right, it's literally like you're just insulated. I go, I do my show, I come back, I watch a movie, I hang with the other comics, and it's cool.
Yeah.
The hell of the comedy club grind was the airports, the airplanes, the radio stations, and the hotels. And the tour bus takes all of that away.
Yes.
You just have a cozy little pad which magically just shows up where you have to do your 1 hour of work.
Oh no, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. I knew guys that would literally have the tour bus pull up to their house. They would pull up to their house, like, all right, honey, see you later. And they just get on the bus.
They just have no date scheduled.
No. They're going golfing. Yeah. Going golfing around the country. Yeah, no, it's it's insane. None of it makes sense, like how big comedy is right now. I kind of think I figured out what, but I think the thing about it is like, it's not like music where there's like genres that have their time, like metal or disco or grunge. Comedy, people always want to laugh, so I feel like as a comedian, an old comedian at this point, I have to keep going down to the store because the young comics keep you young, and comedy does change like music, but as long as you're in it, you don't notice it. It's like you don't see yourself aging, and then you look 3 years ago, it's like, fuck, what happened to me, It's the same thing with like comedy. If you're down there every night, it's changing incrementally, and you kind of get dragged along with it. And I found that guys, when they get to the tour bus theater thing, you got to keep doing the clubs because young comics keep you young. Because I can't. It's not a way. It's not a real way to explain it. But like, I used to see, I've been in this business so long. I remember the heyday of like sitcoms, and comics would get sitcoms. And they would, once they got to that third season and looked like they were going to make syndication, you just see them less and less at the club. And the thing would go like 6-7 seasons, and all of a sudden they didn't do stand-up for the better part of a decade, and then they would come back. And
like Ray Romano or something, right?
No, Ray always did it, and that's why he. No,
his last special was so funny. Ray
so
Romano,
great, and
so good.
and I used to watch guys like Ray and Jerry and all of them. They would keep doing it, but then I saw other guys I won't name who didn't do it, and when they came back, it was like they had to learn how to do it again, and they would be like, he would get super frustrated, and they would feel their age, and
like Zoolander 2.
Yeah.
That was a bad movie.
I don't think I even saw it, but I believe you.
I never saw it.
Yeah.
In defense of the actors in those things, they usually don't want to do the second one, and then they go, we'll give you this. Nah, man, I just don't, we told the story. Nah, man, we'll give you this.
Yeah.
You're going to give me and we'll give you that. I was like, all right, fuck it, I'll do it. And then you get in there, and it's just like, I always wondered if, as you're making a movie, if you know it's bad. Like, because there's no way to tell
No,
Like, I was
because
just-
everybody on the crew is just like, that was so good. And
Right.
everybody's kind of doing that. And then it gets to
I
the
don't-
theater and they're like,
It's
Well,
a great question.
what the
And until
fuck?
it's cut together, like you don't know. You know, like that felt.
Right.
Well,
good, but-
we're sitting right now outside.
Oh yeah, what is it that you're doing
We're
here? Now I just asked Bill that question, and he's gonna answer it by giving me the information he wants me to know, which is a very sensible approach. Now, in other areas of my life, do you think I want to be giving people information that I don't want them to know? Because that is happening left and right if you are not using NordVPN. VPN stands for Virtual Private Network. What it does is it disguises your location, your IP address, so that people can't be snooping around, getting your private info, your passwords, into your bank accounts, all that. It's just crucial cybersecurity 101. And on top of that, by using NordVPN and changing your location on the internet, changing your IP address, you can switch your location to be in other different countries and access all of the content that those countries provide. Let's say, for example, I want to enjoy the better quality shows on British Netflix. Boom. NordVPN makes that super easy. It makes me safer, it makes me happier, and it brings me joy by opening up a whole world of content to me. You'd be crazy not to sign up for it, and they've got an exclusive deal for you, the listeners of the Wild Ride podcast. You go to nordvpn.com/Stevo, or just use the promo code Stevo at nordvpn.com, and you get a huge discount off of NordVPN. Plus, you get an anti-malware feature, and it's risk-free with the 30-day money-back guarantee if you're not totally satisfied. So jump on this, man. Get on over to nordvpn.com/Stevo and feel safer and, man, watch better TV. All right, what's Bill Burr up to?
I shot a movie called Old Dads that I wrote with my writing partner Ben Tischler, and the first time I got to direct something, I was in the thing, and we were just making it. Every day I was saying to the producers, like, is this good? Do you think it's good? Do you think we have it?
Yeah.
Did we get this scene and everything? And now that we're editing it, we're almost through the first editing. But I got to tell you, dude, when you first look at the assembly, the fat
Yeah.
cut, especially a comedy, this is basically the journey that you go through. It's like every day you do 6 minutes is what we've been doing. So you come in, and in the first 6 minutes, you sit there and look at the footage. And in the morning, you think, I just made the worst movie
Yeah.
Hollywood has ever seen. I'm going to be living with my parents. And then somewhere around noon, you start getting hope. And by the end of the day, you're like, dude, this movie's going to be fucking awesome. We're going to do a whole bunch. And then the next day, you come back in, the next 6 minutes, you're like, oh my God, I made the worst movie ever. And it just keeps going through. So I'm hoping when we go to the second,
Pass.
when you do like 20 minutes a day, you can get through it quicker. And I've been talking to everybody that I know that are directors. They go, no, dude, it just keeps tightening up and tightening up and tightening up. And I've been leaning on them a lot, and a bunch of friends of mine. And I find that directors are really, really supportive people. So.
Yeah, wasn't there that Martin Scorsese quote when he's like, if your first cut doesn't make you feel like you're a fucking complete disaster, you're not on the right track?
Yeah.
Or something like that. I
Something like
remember-
that. Yeah, I talked to a guy. I worked on this thing. I'm not dropping any names, but a big actor, and he had made a movie that I loved. And he goes, let me tell you something about that movie. He goes, when I saw the assembly of that thing, he goes, I thought I ruined my career. And he was so stunned of how bad it was when he looked, or how bad he thought it was, because it ended up being a great movie. He was riding the subway. He was in New York. He was riding the subway, and he had a cut of the movie next to him, and he was just sitting on the train, this stunned look when he got to his stop. He was so fucked in the head, he got off without the footage. He just left it. He just walked off like a zombie.
Yeah, I did when I did the India thing. The first thing I saw,
Right.
I was like, I just wasted all that fucking money on this dog shit.
How long does it take for you guys because your shit is so tight and it's just bit,
Yeah.
bit, and every scene has like fucking 8 guys in it, and it's just like, oh my god.
Does it go straight from the shot to the editing bay, or how does that work?
Let's get into the minutia of editing. I think that this is what people. So when you have a dirty over,
What program are they using?
Is that a stutter cut they were
It's
doing?
they record on Avid, or they edit on Avid. I do believe it goes straight in there, and we take our time. We'll shoot for like a week or two, and then we'll just shut down, and they'll work on it. So by the end of it, we can be more targeted about what we're even gonna shoot. Like,
and then how does it work with all of those guys? People got to be like, dude, you didn't get my fucking backflip in there. Why isn't that?
Oh, dude,
I
everything.
landed on those
everything.
tacks for nothing.
Nary a personality in the film has not had butthurt moments
Yeah.
where they really, really like throw a temper tantrum. Well, more like feelings tantrums.
Well, what you guys do to your bodies, the fact that no one's gonna see it, and it's like, so I did that
Right.
for nothing, so I can feel that when
Right.
I'm 80.
Right,
I
100%.
almost
Yeah.
just lost a testicle for nothing.
Yeah. It's insane. So this is a independent film. Or
Oh,
are
no,
you
it's
ju-
with Miramax.
Oh,
so
well-
yeah, so we put it together and then we do the dance to go sell it. So that's what it's gonna be.
Cool, man.
As far as I know, this is my first. I'm usually just the dancing monkey actor guy, and they go, "All right, thanks a lot," and then
Right.
a year later it comes out. So now it's kind of cool to go through the whole process, minus the 1,500 panic attacks I've had throughout.
And this was your first time directing like anything?
Yes.
And it was a movie. Like what?
Yeah.
That's kind of a
I
daunting
had
task.
a lot of help.
Okay.
I had a lot of help, and I made, and I came up with this system that worked, especially when I was like gonna be on camera on a scene. So like, I mean, actually being an actor helped. Because I hate when if you do a scene and after the first take the director's already out there going, you missed this beat and make this blah blah blah, and then you do another one and then they come out again. By the time the third take you're like nose blind, like I don't even know what this fucking thing is about. So we came up with this thing. I was joking with everybody there. I was like, you gotta let the horses run. You gotta let the horses run. You gotta do 3 takes of this thing because everybody knows what they're doing as far as actors, but it's like I don't know what you're gonna do. So I got okay. So he's bringing that. I got to have time to take in what you're doing, and you take in what I'm doing. And then after like 3 was the magic number as usual, that it would start to get legs, and then you could start to guide it, and then how you give notes is the way. You don't come in saying you're not doing this. You come in positive. You say, okay, that was great. We got that.
Because then you,
We got that is great when somebody's completely in the opposite.
Then you just
Okay,
shut
we
it
have
down.
that version.
We got yeah.
But all the seasoned actors knew. They were all like going like, "Oh, you see, fucking hated that." I was like, "No. It's just, I need as many, dude. I'm gonna be in the edit room. I need as many options as I can." But like, that was always hard when you had a seasoned vet. Can you try it this way? And they would be like, "Well, that means you're not gonna use the other one." And I'm just like, "Can you just fucking?"
So you directed it, but you also acted in it.
Yeah.
What's that like?
Stupid. It's a stupid move.
How long were you filming for?
It was, it was weird for like a week and a half, and then we had the system down, and then everybody just gelled, and it was a really fun set. Everybody had a good time, and then I just kept getting food trucks to keeping everybody happy. Is the way to go, which is great when you grow up in like a volatile environment. You learn how to keep people chill.
Yeah, how to sort of keep things
all
at
of
a level.
that shit
Yeah.
helps out, or So yeah, that's kind of what we did, and I think we're dealing with shit right now that I'm gonna have to go deal with.
that's cool. So this is
And,
a nice break for you to not look at the screen for a while.
Yeah,
Was
yeah, no, it is. Oh
Pet a
god,
dog and
was
just
production like kind of post-pandemic?
is it?
She's purring.
She's snoring. Oh my god! Can I please get audio of that? I want to go to sleep to that.
I call that
She's like the dog and the fucking Bugs Bunny.
yeah.
Not the dog. I mean the frog, but it wouldn't sing when you wanted to. You know what I love
Right.
about dogs is they remind you that you need to sigh a lot during the day. They do it all the time. I saw the dog do that. My dog unfortunately passed away a little while ago, but I got to. Once the kids get bigger, we're gonna get them. And I always love that about dogs, is even though they're lying down and chilling and not doing nothing, they still every once in a while just go. Just like, you're right, buddy. You're right. I always feel
Yeah.
like they're reacting to my energy. Like, look at all the fucking dog owners. I had to get this fucking guy.
It's like an eye roll.
I got a good 10 to 15 years. I'm supposed to be living a dog's life, and I got this guy with Wall Street fucking energy walking around the house.
Yeah, I'm a particularly needy dog owner where she's like, oh, this fucking guy.
Yeah.
No, but dogs need a needy owner. I feel like strong people get cats as much as people who have cats. Like, dog people, like, you know, I'd say strong / reptilian cold people kind of like cats.
Yeah, because you get less love from a cat. Like the dog is to love you.
Yeah.
Because you need it.
Oh, yeah.
And it helps, you know. Yeah, the cat is like,
Right. No,
you
the
got to be
dog-
good without the cat.
Dogs
to
are
get the cat.
greeters, man. You come home,
Yeah.
they fucking flip out. It's awesome.
They're the best.
Cats, you can be dying and they just like fucking just walk away from your body.
And if you die and no one comes in there, they start eating you.
Yeah.
Do
There's
they?
no food, yeah.
Wow.
Is that like a thing?
That is a thing. Because I know I ran
Dogs or
into
cats?
somebody I went to
Cats.
high school with, and they were like, "You remember old man so and so?" He's like, "Yeah, he died. They came in, the cat ate half his face," and I'm just like, "Hey, man, good to see you too." I guess you really never can go home.
Oh my god.
Yeah, dogs will like run over and pick up the phone and dial 911 and like, you know, pound on your heart.
Yeah, they'll
to, like,
jump
resuscitate you.
through the window,
Uh-huh.
cut themselves.
Okay, I got a random question. I was like really thought about this, genuinely curious. If you've ever apologized for a joke, I was legitimately nervous to ask that question. Genuinely scared, and I'm also very nervous about what I'm about to share right now. It's sensitive information, but I'm so proud. I just have to blurt this out. Last night, for the first time in my over 5-year relationship with Lux, she came twice in one bone sesh. Is that something? I mean, unbelievable. So what's the secret to my success with my sex life with Lux? I'm just gonna go ahead and say, Blue Chew tablets, baby. What are Blue Chew tablets? They're delicious. They have the same active ingredient as both Viagra and Cialis, except they only cost a fraction of the price. They give you a super boner for super sex, like the sex I had with Lux last night. Yeah, dude. Man. Now, of course, you have to have a prescription to get this. I mean, I think everybody knows that. But what's so great about Blue Chew tablets is that you don't have to go to a doctor's office or anything like that. You simply consult with the medical provider at BlueChew.com. It's very quick, it's very easy, and your Blue Chew tablets are on the way. Plus, here's the great news. For the listeners of the Wild Ride podcast, if you use the promo code STEVO at BlueChew.com, you get an entire month's supply of Blue Chew tablets absolutely for free. All you have to pay is $5 for shipping. Again, that is an entire month's supply of Blue Chew tablets, which I love with all of my heart. Absolutely for free. All you gotta pay is $5 for shipping. So jump on it and have fun boning. Now, let's see how this question goes over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I do it to the individual that I hurt. If I'm in a bad mood, okay, now some asshole's gonna cut that right there. See, comedian should apologize, because that's everybody's like Fox
Yeah.
News and CNN now, like steering it.
Clickbait.
They'll cut out all this part. No, if I'm in like a bad mood, and like, or if I told a joke about something that somebody had a personal effect to, and I made him sad or made him cry. You know, there's
Yeah.
that comic thing, well, fuck you, lady. You shouldn't have come out. Like, I don't take it to that level. It's just like, yeah, you're right. You know, I didn't think of that. I didn't know you were going to be here tonight. What are the fucking odds you were at that thing that I was making fun of? You know what I mean? But that can happen. But what I think is, I refuse to apologize to anybody that is upset that they heard a joke at a show they weren't at. You know, especially if somebody
Yeah.
filmed. Okay, if it's in my special, that's different. I decided to like put it out or whatever. But like, you know, if it's one of those things where someone in the crowd films you and then they put it up, it's like, get mad at them and you because you saw the subject and you clicked on it. So I mean, that's
Yeah,
you
you're
had all of
interested.
these other fucking things. They have like, they have videos of just dogs snoring that you could watch. and feel good about your day. But
Yeah.
you went out of your way to fucking watch this thing. It's on you.
Well, the fact that it's shown up in their algorithm means that they're fucking already in the energy field of all those videos.
Yeah. And that's something I love to do, blaming the victim. I like well, what were you watching if you saw it?
Yeah. Yeah, how did it pop up
Yeah.
on your
No, I am I'm a big believer in if you are wrong and you feel you're wrong, you apologize. But I'm not a believer in the mob mentality, and I'm now going to apologize just because it's not worth it, because then all I do is give that strength that's okay to do that, and then some other comic's going to have to deal with it. So so like, yeah, if you come up to me after a fucking show, I mean, I'll listen to you and I'll be like, and if I agree with what you're saying, I'll be, yeah, all right, okay.
I fucked up. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it wasn't a personal thing. I'm sorry you went through that or whatever. And I found you can, like, actually, they'll be cool with you in the, you know, people like anybody, like us, we want to be heard. So, but as far as that professional being offended, so you can move whatever cause, because you feel like you can fix society, you know, with your ideas. I mean, I don't get into that.
Yeah.
Okay.
What do you enjoy doing better, TV shows or movies? Or stand up?
I will tell you this: it was a long time ago. It used to be movies, but now TV shows are so badass. Speaking of which, we're in a credit here. Reservation Dogs.
Yeah.
I had a blast doing that. Breaking Bad, Chappelle Show. I thought I
Breaking
somehow
Bad made it that way, I feel like.
yeah. I would say The Wire before that.
Uh-huh.
Sopranos.
Yeah, HBO and,
Yeah.
and
Dexter.
basic cable was the thing that showed, like, all of a sudden, like, you know, you can go to this level. And I'm still waiting for the sitcom to get to that level. And I feel like there's always been like a glass ceiling on how funny you can be in front of a live audience, like at a sitcom, because the suits get all nervous with any sort of thing that isn't like, you know, just a fastball. You know, good American values right over the plate. And that's why I was really rooting for when Norton and Louis did Louis' sitcom. Like, I thought what Louis was doing was gonna, like, hopefully break. Jay Moore a long time ago did a great one. That he played Peter Dragon. What the hell was it? He played this producer, and then that was on Fox. And that was another one that I thought sort of, but that was more of a one camera. But that sort of expanded to, like, you know, okay, people are adults. They know what's phony now. So they want to see something that's real or absolutely absurd, I feel. And especially because now the average person on YouTube is making a video and then they read comments. So even they, in a way, are like in an editing bay, and they learn what plays and what doesn't. And they actually know what it, in a small way what it's like to make something creatively and bomb and have it get 0 stars. And, you know, and have all of those awful feelings.
How was it to make, like, F is for Family? You were able to, like, let a joke breathe a lot more than, like, a sitcom, right? Or a TV show?
Yeah, and Netflix was awesome because their thing was when we did it, I remember when they read the pilot episode, they were going, like, yeah, push it further. And that was, like, the dream note that you were waiting for. But, like, that was one of those things. Like, Mike Price from The Simpsons, he's the co-creator and the showrunner. He was the captain of that ship, so I can only take so much credit. He, like, if you like F is for Family, Mike Price is the reason why you like it, because all of that stuff that I had to do on this movie now, I already respected Mike, but now having done this, I'm like, oh my God, like, the amount of questions that this guy has to answer that I didn't, and the amount of decisions that he had to make. So, and then also, you know, Vince Vaughn, when I pitched doing an animated show, it'd been a while since, like, comedians had done, like, an animated show, like Howie Mandel and Louis Anderson, rest his soul, had done those, and they, you know, this industry's really like, what's happening now? So someone hadn't done one in a minute, so I think me pitching a cartoon was weird, but Vince Vaughn got behind it and was sitting there in the pitch meeting. So when they were looking at me, he's like, why does this idiot want to do a cartoon, they'd be like, "Oh my God, that's an A-list movie star. That's
Yeah.
Vince Vaughn. He believes in it." So I always felt like Peter Billingsley and Vince Vaughn. I gotta make sure I say everybody's name that got that thing going. They were the reason why that thing got on the air, and then I just, I mean, I literally learned how to write a script on that thing. I learned how to do 3 different takes of a line, all of that shit that I didn't know because I came up as a comedian. I'm like, I tell the joke, this is how I tell it. If it bombs, I move
Yeah.
on to next thing.
Was that the idea with comedy? Like you got into comedy to do acting, or did you just only want to be a comedian and it kind of just happened?
I always want to be a comedian. All the comedians that I loved became great comics. Obviously, those ones that I watched, and then
They got picked up on stuff.
yeah, like Richard Pryor, Eddie Murphy, Cheech and Chong, all of them, and then they would go into movies, and I was really watching. And then you'd see other people that they get a shot, and because they were in comedy clubs and didn't take enough acting classes, when they got that shot, you'd get your shot, and if you didn't, it's not like today, man. Back then, when you got your shot, that was your shot, and if you didn't get it, dude, like you got put all the way to the back of the line, dude. And I'm telling you, you had to wait like 7-8 years. You had to wait for studio execs to die or get fired to be like, is it okay to go back in that building again? Because they're gonna be like, oh yeah, we tried something with you and it didn't work. You're the it doesn't work guy.
So you just stayed in comedy for a while.
No, I started taking acting classes early on.
Oh.
Yeah, it was always acting and comedy. Yeah.
Well, I remember I ran into a comedian, and he was one of these guys that he was a young comic and a redhead, I think. I think that was him. Yeah, a long time ago. And he told me a story like, I went down to New York, and he had this look on his face, and he goes, dude, I went up and I killed, and there was some head of NBC was there, and they were like, dude, you're so castable, and they brought me in, they gave me a script, and I didn't know what to do with it. And the way he told the story, I just never forgot it. He's like, dude, my biggest advice to you, forget all this comedy stuff, just keep doing it, but like take acting classes along the way, so when you get your shot, you don't blow it. So thank you to him.
I saw something where you said that you learned how to fly a helicopter because you looked into the banking system.
Am I wrong?
I mean,
What's going on right now?
Yeah, you almost got your motorcycle.
Well, right. Like, I was on a fucking airplane, flying across the Atlantic to London, sitting next to a guy who was on the U.S. rowing team. He was gonna go compete in fucking Finland or
Dude,
some
how
shit.
shredded was his back?
I mean,
7.
and he's sitting there reading this book by Neil Strauss called like fucking How to Survive, some survival guide thing. And I was interested because Neil Strauss wrote the Motley Crue book, and he's like this epic writer.
I was gonna say, talk about a wide variety.
Right.
Well, I guess it's all about survival if you're talking about Motley Crue. These guys somehow survived being in
Right.
Motley Crue and going to Singapore.
So this guy explains what the book's about. He's like, oh, well, in the case of natural disaster or economic collapse or, nuclear, or whatever, like, and there was just a whole variety of scenarios which represented shit hitting the fan, and the first thing you gotta do is get the fuck out. And he said that this guy recommended motorcycles because you could split lanes to get out.
That's great. It's a lot cheaper than a helicopter license.
So dude, so I turn around and like the next fucking.
I only have a 2-seater too, so I'm going to have to make a Sophie's choice. Who's coming? Who's staying? Well, I know how to
waiting
fly,
for the
so I
next
know
one?
I'm going.
I turn around and fucking and enroll in motorcycle school because I bought onto the idea of this.
That's
like
cool though, but then you learn something.
I know, but here's the fucking thing, dude. Like,
What did you
as
ride?
Well, as soon as I enrolled in motorcycle school, and I enrolled, and it's going to be like another weeks before I actually have the classes.
Yeah.
As soon as I enrolled, everywhere I went, someone's like, oh, I get to go visit somebody in the hospital. They were like, they fucking motorcycles. Motorcycles just kept coming up in conversation, and it was always the worst fucking thing. And then when I got there to the actual class, I realized that like you gotta have like a clutch on the motorcycle, and I've never even learned how to drive stick in my life. So while they're trying to teach me, I'm like, oh well, fuck, you know, like you gotta remember the clutch, and you know, it just delays your reaction time, and already. Like, I'm just like, I'm a dead duck.
Can I ask you a question? when you were in the, because I took the motorcycle safety course and I got my license and all that. I rode for like 2 months and someone else took my head off going over the double line in a turn. And I remember like coming back, I was riding a Triumph Bonneville and I was literally shaking. And and it's funny because I never pray. So I dial up God for the first time in years. And it's like, oh, look who called. What do you want, Bill? Right? It's like, you never called just to say hi, do you? So this fucking guy puts me on speaker doing this shit, right? So I fucking, I just said, if you let me get back to Dean Del Rey's garage without losing my leg or my life, I swear to God, I'll never ride this fucking thing again. And I didn't. But now I kind of got it back again. And I'm thinking of getting like a dirt bike just to ride around. I fly out of this little ass airport, and I'm just gonna ride around there where it's safe, so I still have the skill.
Yeah.
So I know how to do it because I think they're fucking badass, man. But when you took the class, didn't you look at a couple people just being like, why this person's gonna die?
Right.
I remember
That was Steve. They were looking at him like that.
It was a 3-day class. The first day was in a classroom. The second day was in a parking lot. And the third day was in a parking lot. And I fucking quit after the first parking lot day. I'm a motorcycle school dropout. Now it didn't hurt.
You could have just completed because you would have got through
I know,
it.
but here's the thing.
And then you know how to do it, and you don't have to ride.
I almost shouldn't say this, but after my first day in the parking lot, actually riding the motorcycle, I had a date later that night with like
I didn't want to say anything.
a fucking really like she was like voted by Maxim magazine like the 7th hottest woman on the planet.
So the next day to get up to go to class.
And when she asked me if I wanted to meet her dogs, I did. And I never left.
Yeah, that's the real. And he
You know
blamed,
what? That's a good excuse for not completing. That's all right. 7th hottest woman in the world.
and he blamed it on like motorcycle accidents and deaths.
I said, you know what? I'm not gonna go to motorcycle class. That shit was gonna fucking kill me anyway.
Most guys ride motorcycles so they can meet that shit. You like preempted it. So it's like, what do I need a motorcycle for?
Yeah.
All I'm gonna do is get road rash on my dick.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, you're like looking at the stats. I just don't think it's right.
It's just not safe.
It's not safe.
And then he just raw dogged the random shit.
Safer than riding a motorcycle.
A lot safer. How often do you fly your helicopter?
Well, what sucks is right now, because I'm involved in this, I'm not allowed to fly.
Okay.
They're like,
Oh.
they'd say, okay, you can try and kill yourself after we get a cut of the of the movie. So I haven't flown since February, right before, because I didn't realize but I mean, I went up with an instructor or whatever. So I'm like, really safe. And those, as my instructor says, aviation is as safe as you are. And you would be surprised. Like, there's only two types of pilots. Pilots that know they can die, and then the other people who just show up like, they bullshit pre-flight, just fucking crank it and just take off. You look at their whole attitude when they take off. It's like, dude, if you have an engine failure right now, you're just going to nose into the ground. Or you see people, like, flying super low, flying really slow. It's like you're dead. If your engine dies, you don't have enough altitude to regain your airspeed to keep this fucking thing going, to go into a flare, like an auto rotation, and you're fucking dead. So there's like, with anything, dude, there's like these major things that if you implement them, you look at the weather, you do your I only fly when it's nice out. I only fly up to a certain knots of winds, because I mean I can fly in it, but why do I want to be up there fucking bumping around and everything? And you can get the odds in your favor. And now, like, you should see, I'll show it to you some. Like, the cockpit I have, all glass cockpit, and I'm literally like an air traffic controller now with the technology where you can. Back in the day, when I first started flying, like, you were just talking to people, you didn't know where anybody was. It was just them reporting. So if you went out, east of here, where all these fucking yahoos are, they don't even talk on the radio, and all of a sudden I'll go flying by you, and you're like, dude, what the fuck? Now you can see them coming. You can literally, like, put your finger on the screen and their tail number will show up. And you can talk to them. The arrow points in what direction they're going. There's a thing that says +6, -5, I mean 600 above you. So
Wow.
you know exactly where the fuck they are. So
Is that bad for drug smugglers?
Huh? I got a good one for you. Instructor told me, you know, when anytime the vice president or the president comes in town, there's just a massive TFR wherever they are. Temporary flight restriction. Like, you're not allowed to fly in there, and if you do, you're warned, and then you get intercepted by like a fucking, I don't know what, you know, an F-16, which wouldn't work with the helicopter because we fly so slow they'd have to keep going by us. So they probably send some sort of presidential level Secret Service helicopter up there. There was a guy flew into a TFR, didn't do his pre-flight, and that's one of the things you do. You look to see if there's, because you get in major fucking trouble if you fly into one of those. Even if you just fly over Dodger Stadium 2 hours before the game, there's 2 hours before the game and after, because there's going to be all of those people. They just, you know, don't fly over that. If you fly into that, the FAA is calling your tail number. I mean, I don't know what happens. I don't want to find out what happens. So this fucking idiot did not check, and he flew right into it, and he wasn't on the radio, and he got intercepted, and they landed, and it turned out it was a drug smuggler coming up from Mexico, which usually then you're not going to be on the radio, but at least fly around the shit, and they forced him down, and he had a whole plane full of drugs, and that was it. And if he had just looked at his TFRs, he could have still been bringing cocaine into this country.
Yeah, you can't even fly a drone over Dodger Stadium during a game, or you go to jail. I mean, it's pretty.
Did you
fucking
fly
crazy.
a drone over Dodger Stadium during the game?
No.
Dude, there's a guy, and they can't find him, and I don't understand why. The guy has a fucking jetpack.
Yeah.
And he's been hovering right outside, like every couple of months. He'll just be there.
At Dodger Stadium?
No, at LAX. And he's sitting there like he's at fucking Buck Rogers. So my thing is, like, how many people buy jetpacks? Like, we can't get some people on this. So the funniest shit ever that's online, you have to listen to the radio calls, is they're talking to somebody flying in anywhere from 300 to 600 people. Going, yeah, just let you know, after the left, you got a guy in a jetpack, and then the pilot's like, yeah, we see him.
And what he just
And everybody sees this shit, and he just sitting there.
And yeah, they don't know who he is, right? It's like a mystery.
I don't understand on what black market this guy bought this fucking jetpack.
Yeah.
Because I remember I was watching the first 48 one time, and this fucking idiot bought a 50 caliber Desert Eagle, and I guess not a lot of people have them, and he killed somebody with them, and then they just went, all right, who bought a Desert Eagle? It was like, you should have become the first 48
people.
minutes. They fucking caught this guy in like an hour.
That's the best show ever.
Yeah, well, I got a buddy of mine, former cop, hates that show. Because I was
Okay.
watching that show going,
Well-
like, I don't understand why they keep talking. I'm like, all you do is say,
Right.
am I
I want a
being
lawyer.
charged with anything? If I am, if I want a lawyer. If not, I'm leaving. He goes, that's why I hate that show. Because it teaches dirtbags
right.
how to beat the system. The worst one I ever saw was they brought this guy in. They go, and there was some old guy that got murdered in the park. And they say to this guy, he's a suspect, and they go, hey, do you know Old Man Johnson or whatever? He's like, yeah, I know him. He goes, you good friends with him? He goes, yeah, I see him around. He goes, well, I hate to tell you this, but we just found him in the park. He was murdered. And the guy, just worst acting ever. He stands like, what? Oh, man. I didn't do it. Just sign the confession. And you just literally watched a guy
It
take
does.
somebody's life away and just throw their whole life. It's like, that guy's going to jail for the rest of his fucking
Right.
life.
He should have taken an acting class, because when his moment came, he would have been ready.
You should have watched the
blew it.
first 48.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's always
just ask
weird.
for a fucking lawyer.
You ever see that picture of the Ramirez brothers courtside, like an hour before
Right,
they
the
killed their or
Menendez.
the Menendez, like the twin brothers or whatever? There's like
Yeah.
a picture of them at a basketball game sitting courtside. Everybody's like cheering, and they're just like straight faced. It's an eerie fucking picture, and they're like, this was like 2 hours before they murdered their parents. Isn't that
Jeez.
weird?
Wow.
It'd be weirder if they were like stoked and like cheering and happy,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
That
Well,
kind of
you know what that just
adds up.
reminded me of? You remember in Scarface when there's the comedian on stage and everybody's cheering and all of that stuff, and everybody's watching, and Tony's coked in the corner, everybody's dying laughing.
still
and
watching
De
your
Palma just pans
podcast?
across
I
and there's two
am.
people just sitting
I
there
just realized I've had
like that,
my
and ones with the
this
Uzis under a
entire
napkin.
stream.
I love the
I was-
Uzis under
I
a
was
napkin.
watching
like,
it. I was listening to it
they
off
just
your
took them out and they
stream.
put- Would you like something to drink? Hang on a
It's
second.
funny. Accidentally
Yeah,
gets
he's fucking
Let me
intercepted.
get that nap in. Like, not in the
Bill
don't
Burr
touch
is
that.
fucking
Leave it in
hilarious.
Did
Oh,
you see
yeah.
that clip going around with Amber Heard snorting coke on the witness stand?
Yeah,
Is that
that,
not,
I mean, I get my news from TMZ, and they said that was just absolute bullshit.
did you see it though?
I have not been.
Did you see it?
She definitely did not.
Man,
do
I'll tell you what, this
cocaine
game's
on the
fucking
stand.
No.
hard.
Yeah, I don't.
Although
But she's that crazy.
You look like you're
I'm
doing
not
fine.
talking out of school because the guy put it in his
Like,
book.
those are
Actually,
all
wasn't
things
watching
that-
you at
Cocaine
all,
on TV
but I was
during
listening to the podcast.
Thomas Hollywood Henderson of the Dallas
the
Cowboys.
dodging
You
is,
have to
like,
read his
a little
book.
bit different
His
than
book is
Elden Ring.
fucking Unbelievable.
That's
The guy was doing.
hard to
He was
get used to.
basically Lawrence Taylor before Lawrence
bet.
Taylor, but because of drugs, he messed up his career. So that's why Lawrence Taylor looked like he fell out of the
Dude,
sky. Like
yeah,
there was nobody.
it's
There was
been
no
an
like
eventful
link.
morning
Like
this
with
morning.
bands, it's like this
What
band
happened?
did
I'll
this,
wake up,
and they did. Oh, that's
walk
where
out of
they
my
came
room,
from. It was
and
like
I hear
Lawrence
this.
Taylor just came from outer space, but like Hollywood Henderson was a linebacker. He like returned like
There's a fucking kitten
a kickoff
right outside
in,
my
like,
front
Super
window.
Bowl 10. Like
Oh.
nobody
Like,
did that shit.
behind that
and he
little
almost got
tree.
a touchdown. And
so I had to
he
cut
was doing
down that
coke in
tree
the 70s before
to get
people knew
to
how to
him.
do coke, so it was just raw.
because I wasn't just gonna
He
leave
was
him
like
there.
cutting it up with like a
Yeah.
matchbook or
And,
something,
like,
and like his fucking
Got him
nose
some
was
milk,
so
and
fu- he
then
had
if
a
I didn't bring
hole
him the fucking milk,
in
he
his
probably wouldn't
nose.
have. I
Yeah,
wouldn't have
so
got him
what
out
he
of
would
there.
do
And
before
he
a
was like
game
tucked
was he
up
would
against
just
the
pack
house,
his nose with cocaine
like
till he was
hissing at
numb,
me.
and then he would go out and play.
Then I
And then
found
during halftime, he'd be blowing his nose.
my
As
neighbor
Tom Landry, the
across the
straightest laced
street,
guy ever, with
an
like a
older
fedora,
lady.
looked like he was on like
like, I
Dragnet.
went and
Would be
knocked on
telling him
like
what to do in the half, and he would be in
indoors
there
trying to
blowing his
find
nose and then
see if it was
repacking it
anybody's.
with cocaine. So
Nah.
anyway, when the second time the Cowboys
That
played
lady
the,
said she'll
the
take
Steelers
her,
in
and
Super
then
Bowl 13,
It was like an
He
older
had
disabled
cocaine
lady,
in
and
water.
she asked me if I'd go to
And you know those
PetSmart
Vicks
for
things
her
when
and
you
pick
had
up
a
some
cold?
stuff, and I
and there's footage of him
did that shit.
going like
and
that, and people think he has like hay fever or something.
But-
He's actually
God
fucking
dang.
blowing
Yeah.
lines in the Rose Bowl
Went busy.
wow.
during the
shit.
Super Bowl.
For real though.
You ever just pack your hole with cocaine back in the day,
No,
Steve?
I
You just-
discovered that I had the hole. It's called a deviated septum, and I discovered
Fucking
it
dope, though.
when I was in
It
the
looked
psych
cute.
ward,
I was like, oh, Stag's got a cat now.
days after my intervention.
How do you,
So
how
I
do you
just
discover that?
fortunately have
get your
been
phone
clean and
working?
sober ever since then.
Yeah, I got
I
my
just,
phone working.
I just thought he went to an ears, nose, and throat doctor. and
This
that
morning
flashed
was
a light
its
up his
time
nostril
that it
and
could
came out the other
finally-
side and be
Oh,
like,
dude, I've
Steve,
taken,
do you do cocaine? What are you talking?
I've taken pictures when I put the flashlight on my cell phone and
Be
stick the
reset,
flashlight in
whatever.
one nostril and fucking.
It really does that.
Yeah,
huh?
you can see.
You got
I'm
the
fucking
Hollywood Bowl
excited.
spotlight coming out the other one.
Hell yeah, you know. You had a phone and like
Yeah, yeah.
How long now? Like a week?
It's crazy.
Over a
man.
week?
Yeah, about a
I
week, yeah.
forget how, but once I discovered it, like,
It wasn't
I
that
managed
bad.
to thread my nose with a
I
shoelace.
would die.
Knoxville came to visit me
You know,
in rehab.
It was kind of
This is always
nice,
half full.
honestly.
This is really sad, or an opportunity.
I'm just saying, I thought it was
pretty cool.
Yeah,
nice
that's
for
what
a
a lot
little
of
bit.
cocaine used to burn a hole through your nose, right?
It's a little bit of
I
a
didn't
break.
fuck around, man. I was pretty strong in the drugs department. Well, hey, dude.
Just
fucking,
didn't really have to like.
Tell us again about this
I
project.
don't know. I
that
just
you had.
didn't
Oh,
worry
so,
about
yeah, it's
shit.
just- it's a comedy. It's called Old Dads.
Oh,
It's just
honestly.
about guys my age that have kids later in life, and then you go to school and it's
Nice.
like your kid's in
Dark.
kindergarten and you were in kindergarten
dark
50 years ago, but your brain goes back to that's the way it is and how everything's changed, and it's a simple comedy formula, that,
Good.
but it's not done. It's like my act, so
Right.
it's definitely rated R. Even though
Okay.
there's dads in the title, but I think people are gonna like it.
And when's that projected to come
I don't know.
out?
I'm supposed to, like, this whole summer I'm just living with the thing, and I'm actually enjoying editing, which I didn't think. I got massive fucking ADD,
Uh-huh.
and so I had to fight the whole. No, this takes looks good. It's like, no, we have to watch all the takes.
Right.
Let's piece it together, and I'm just sitting there fucking, nervous, fucking restless leg syndrome, watching it. But now I've settled into, like, that's what it is, and that's what's gonna fix this. Any problem that I'm gonna have in it. So I just sort of, I gave into it. I'm drinking coffee now. I never drank coffee in my life, and just every once in a while, I'm just like, when you have your head in the oven, it's just like, I suck, and then you drink it. It's like, no, I'm awesome. Let's get this going.
And you're touring, but just not like just a few days at a time.
Yeah, I go
Task.
out, just a couple, 2-3 days.
Tranquilize
and,
that.
Yeah, and then I come back, hang with my kids, and you know, I try to edit while my kids are
How's
at school,
Jurassic
and then
Park or
and
World?
then I'm
Pretty good.
Yeah,
I guess
it's a little bit.
this
I come
one's
home a
like
little bit
it's like a
after
campaign thing. It's a little
they've
different than
gone
the
to
last
school,
one.
but
You
then I
kind
have
of
that
like
last 2 hours of
go
quiet
from
time
place
I
to
can
place
do
and
that.
do certain things
And,
instead
it's
of
funny,
just
like,
make your
how
own
they
park the
view
whole
me.
time.
I didn't even realize it.
And
my father-in-law
this one's like all
was
big
was
ass
in
fucking
town. He's the best
carnivores,
dude. Like, I
and they
really
don't
looked
like
up
to
to
stay
my
in their
in-laws. They're
goddamn
fucking really
home.
cool people. And he was just like
Put
laughing
'em in
'cause
their
I'm in the
fucking
living room, and
pants.
it's just like they just like
I'm
they just
trying,
jump
by
on me,
golly.
Spiking if they don't.
flying elbows and just, you know,
Who's
coming
this?
off the
No, not
couch and
that.
stuff.
This.
And you know,
Ranger team.
yeah,
I
I'm
need you to
definitely-
get
I think
here.
I'm more
You know what? We're
Like,
just gonna
my
fucking
wife
drive
is the
myself
one,
because you're fucking
like,
slow.
She, like, throws down
This
the
is
gun,
not
like,
the fucking right
when
thing.
and she's
Son of a
really good
bitch.
at it.
Where's the
And,
Ranger
I-
team?
It takes a lot. Like I have
Ranger.
one tone of voice that I go to that they actually listen to me. Everything
That's
else,
the,
they're just like,
we
"Ah,
have
shut
to
up."
get there before the fucking
I kind of lost some credibility.
T-Rex shows back
I don't know
up.
if I can get that back. We'll see.
Do they have any concept of like your career or like what you do yet?
Not really, and I don't like,
I gotta fight this
you know, I don't
fucking big ass
like
tree.
bring that. I don't have like fucking posters or shows or anything. There's
Right,
nothing
right,
in the
right.
house that says
Yeah.
that I do. But you know, my daughter knows what I do. I don't want to watch my act. But like obviously,
Super
but, like,
cold,
uh,
rainy.
my
I
son
mean,
knows nothing.
snowing.
My daughter like knows, but like
The
I just have to
snow.
explain to her when I go on the road.
Fire damage.
Like this is why we can go to Chuck E. Cheese and go skateboarding.
Right,
you know?
right.
I gotta. The man has me running on the wheel. Okay, I'll explain that to you when you get a little older.
Yeah.
That's great, man.
I think I'll just.
Well,
break it.
the
Hit
you know,
magnets.
like I saw you got the accolade from Rolling Stone of being the heavyweight champ of rage-filled comedy,
Yeah.
and I think it's just
That's someone who just watched clips before they had to write that.
right.
Before they went out and hooked up with the 7th hottest woman in the world. What do I got to write about this bald orange
Well,
idiot?
no, I love that. I love that, and I just find it ironic because you're the nicest guy, you know.
Yeah, and the perception, if you watch 2 minutes of my act, is that I walk around like, I mean, I was definitely a very angry man when I was in my 30s. When I was in my 20s, I didn't understand. I was still like, hey, you know, whatever you want to do, I want to do. And oh, I love this guy. He does whatever. So I had this weird phase. And then in my 30s, as my life wasn't coming together the way I thought it was going to, which is, you know, what you're supposed to be doing. I'm at this
They
age,
had
I
all
should be
the
here.
real voices
And
in the
only
last
thing that
game,
was working was
but
my
they do not have all the real voices in this game. I tell you that.
So
Chris
I
Pratt
definitely
shit?
went through
Yeah, they don't have Chris
that
Pratt's. I
period.
think the other one actually might be real,
in my
or
40s
might be
and
really
50s.
close to real, but
Yeah.
Chris Pratt's is definitely not the
Yeah,
right one. I know that.
I'm a pretty simple
make it look like
person.
him, or just
I'm not, there's not
keep
too many
the-
levels to me.
It's like the way he talks and
If
stuff.
I have like a sandwich and a fucking little cigar in an afternoon,
You don't really see him. You just like
fucking wouldn't need one.
he just
So,
talks, but it's not his
I'm
voice.
lucky that my wife understands like that too, because I was telling you, there's that disease in this business, and just any business. that if
Tranquilize.
you're selling more tickets or
is
doing better in your job and you're making more and
fucking
more, to buy more.
Yeah.
and have a
Feel
better
it.
life, where it's like,
I'm
or I could just
trying.
fucking
It's literally a
be
giant
happy
tree,
with
and
what
you have to
I
like
have,
slice
not buy
his
any
fucking
more
nuts.
shit. And then someday when this business is done with me and it kicks me to the curb, I didn't blow all my money on
Right.
dumb shit, and I can like still eat some scrambled eggs and not have a pen.
And an arm
Yeah,
came out of his nuts.
I'm not into any flashy shit, really. I like to have a cool podcast, man.
Oh, dude, this is sick.
My tour bus is a piece of shit RV. Like,
Oh yeah. you know the one I wanted to buy the one from Stripes. You know the one that GMC made
Oh.
with the 6 wheels. I always wanted to redo one of those, and there's one that's the Palm Desert package or something, and it's like total Ron Burgundy.
Fuck.
It's that fucking 70s green with the floral, like captain's chairs and a green shag rug, and I was just thinking, man, if I ever fucking redid one of those, put a humidor
Oh,
in it
you
with
have
some
to
cigars and shit.
transfer it.
Eating cigar lounge.
Oh my god.
The
Oh my
paleo
The cigar
no,
lounge. is
Yeah.
Sick.
takes
And
half a
then you gotta
million
watch
dollars.
because then-
What?
then all your demons
What?
are just right there.
Fine here.
Yeah, yeah. That's another thing too I learned. That's when my drinking got out of control, was when I brought it home to the house. And then I don't have to go out to a bar, because before I always had it under control because I had to go out You know, if I felt like getting a drink, but I was at home and I was watching the game, wearing the sweatpants, it's like, dude, I don't want to fucking take a shower and fucking go out and do all that.
You
shit.
know
So
what I
would just
mean,
drink and
Gene?
I wouldn't get a hold of
No.
it. When I had it at home, yeah, I had this thing where part of conspiracy theory, you know, you get massively overwhelmed and depressed when you're reading that shit. So how then after I got out of the conspiracy theory shit, I went the other way, and I started watching like
What'd
Me
you say to
TV
me, bitch?
and all these old fucking shows from when I was a kid, and everybody on those shows drank and smoked. So I would just sit there. They were drinking. I was drinking with like Ephraim Zimbalist Jr. like every fucking night, watching 77 Sunset Strip, and you know, it was started off with this, then it became that. Then my wife started getting on me like, Jesus Christ, look at the size of it. I go, it's a home pour. You go out to a bar, they take out the eye droplet, and it's just like, it's not a fucking drink. And then I remember one night I told this story before, I came down the stairs because she goes, don't have another one. When you have 3, you start snoring like your dog here. So I was
True,
like,
that's
all right,
just
all right. And then I was like, just have 2.
Male or female? How do you tell?
You know, 8 minutes left in the show. Pour another one. So I poured the other one. It was over, and I was walking down the stairs to our bedroom, and I didn't know if she was still up or not. I literally was hiding it on the side of my leg, trying to make sure the ice cube wasn't going to clink against the side of the glass. And I was just like, I am like this close away from having a bottle in the back of the toilet. Let me just step away from this shit. So I'm not like an alcoholic, you know what I mean? But I do think that addiction is more of a spectrum than you either are or you aren't. And I think that if you're a habit guy like me, no different than sugar and salt. Like, I never craved McDonald's unless I was in a jam and I ate it. And then for like the next few days, I see the golden arches everywhere. Like, dude, I'm gonna get a fucking another double cheeseburger, man. So
Yeah, I smoked a cigar, and then I was like, man, are these bad for you? Then I looked up, I was like, how many cigars does George Burns smoke a day? And it was like 10 to 15. I'm like, great, I can do 2 a day. You know, it's like, it's so easy
there's
for me
no
to
way. There's
Yeah?
no way he smoked 10 to 15 a day.
Why? Google told me
I
that.
named my dinosaurs
Put that
Dougie,
information out
Carl,
there,
and
a cigar
Ron.
smoker that's trying to get his wife off his back.
Carl.
15 a day.
Carl
Christ, I'm a lightweight.
I'm only smoking 7.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Well, hey, man, let's get you back into your
Oh,
database. So
damn
you
it.
can,
Jimmy's
That's
mom.
fantastic.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah,
Nah,
thank
dude, I'm really happy for all you. You know, you've already had success, but like to see you, like I was so psyched when I saw you at Caroline's. I was telling my wife, like, fucking Steve-O was playing Caroline's. I remember when he was like starting out. You know, he just got sober and all that, so I'm really happy for him.
dude, I appreciate that
Yeah,
so
dude.
much.
It's fucking awesome.
God, this
Your
dude
dog
is so
rules.
fucking
Yes,
annoying.
it is.
All right, guys, thanks for having me.
Hey,
Yeah,
man.
thanks,
Thank
Bill.
you.
All right, look at that.
What do you say to that? I mean, come on. It's so cool, dude. Sat down, and one of the first things he said is that I'm a legend. You kidding me? That guy is, I mean, what? Anybody in the world, top 3. I mean, greatest comedians alive. Dude, so stoked on just knowing that guy, let alone like having such mutual respect. Dude, what a bro. I'm really, really stoked on that one. And